For over 40 years, the way you accessed your Social Security was simple and unchanged. But on September 15th, a massive federal overhaul called the Secure Single Sign-On Migration permanently shut down the old portals. The government claims this new system is just for your safety. In reality, if you do not update your account before this cutoff, navigating your benefits will suddenly become 100 times harder. This is an unprecedented structural shift that could lock you out of your hard-earned monthly checks overnight. I have seen exactly how these bureaucratic gears can crush unsuspecting retirees. I am not here to give you the standard sugar-coated advice you hear on the news. Today, I am leaking the exact tactical secrets, system bypass tips, and step-by-step safety measures you need to shield your family from sudden administrative errors. Think of me as your personal watchdog. We are going to make sure the government never shortchanges you. Let's get your account updated and protect your retirement before the clock runs out. We are living through a massive change. The Social Security Administration has quietly moved away from the old, human-centered way of handling your files. For decades, when you had a problem, a real person, a human being sitting in an office, would look at your paperwork. They would check the boxes, they would verify your employer's information, they would make sure that your years of hard work were recorded correctly. But that world is fading fast. Today, the agency is rushing to replace those human eyes with automated AI tracking systems. They call it efficiency, but for the person on the other end, for you, it is a dangerous game. Here's the reality. Machines do not understand nuance. They do not know that your employer made a typo on a tax form, or that your specific job had a unique pay structure that looks like an error to a computer. If the AI sees a mistake or a mismatch, it doesn't call you to clarify. It simply marks your file as flagged or incomplete. This automated processing is a ticking time bomb for your monthly income. Imagine the AI misses a critical checkbox about your company size. Because the machine is programmed to follow rigid rules, it might reject your claim for benefits entirely, or even worse, start sending you the wrong amount of money every month. You might not even realize it's happening until you see a smaller deposit than you expected. By then, the system has already processed the mistake, and trying to fix an automated error is 10 times harder than correcting a mistake made by a person. You are being pushed into a digital stream, and if you don't know how to swim, you are going to get pulled under by the current. The change isn't just about software. It's about where your file actually lives. In the past, if you had a problem, you could go to your local office. You knew the people there. You might have even known John 2 cubicles down who handled your paperwork. There was accountability. If your file was stuck, you could talk to a human who knew your name and your face. That system is being dismantled. We are moving toward a national algorithmic routing model. Think of it like a giant invisible machine that vacuums up your file and shoots it to whoever or whatever is free in the country. Your paperwork could be processed in a different state by a machine that has zero connection to your local reality. This creates the lost file trap. When your file is floating in a national cloud, it loses its local home. There is no one in your neighborhood you can hold accountable because your paperwork isn't technically there anymore. It's somewhere in the country. This transition removes the human visibility that used to protect you. If a digital error happens, you can't just walk into the local office and ask to see the person who made the decision, because that person doesn't exist, or they are 3,000 miles away. You are no longer a person with a case. You are a data point being shuffled across a national network. When accountability is spread out across the entire country, it effectively disappears. You are entering a system designed for speed, not for your personal security. And that is exactly where the risk to your retirement lies. You might think you are safe because you have already been receiving your checks for years. But there are specific moments in your life where you are forced to re-enter this automated gauntlet. These are your vulnerability triggers. If you change your status, you are essentially reapplying, and that is when the AI wakes up and starts scanning your life. The first big trigger is shifting from standard retirement benefits to spousal benefits. This is a common move. But the system now treats this as a brand new application. It forces your history back into the machine. The second trigger is even more sensitive, transitioning to a surviving spouse benefit after a partner passes away. This is a time when you are at your most vulnerable, yet the system forces you into a high-error automated review. The same applies if you try to file for disability. Every time you upgrade or change your benefits, you are triggering a new scan. The machine will look at your entire history, checking for discrepancies. If it finds one, even one that was ignored 5 years ago, it can freeze your account. You are essentially stepping off a safe path and into a digital minefield. Most people think these changes are simple updates, but in this new world, there is no such thing as a simple update. Any request to change your status is an invitation for the machine to find a reason to stop your payments. You must be prepared for this, or you risk losing the income you have earned over a lifetime. Let's talk about the reality on the ground. You have been told to go to the office if you have a problem, but the offices you remember are gone. Today, the local office is a fortress of gatekeepers. It is understaffed, overwhelmed, and under pressure to limit the number of people coming through the front door. When you walk into a field office now, you aren't just walking into a service center. You are entering a high-stress, high-security environment. You will likely be met by security staff who are trained to manage crowds, not to help you with your social security check. The wait times have exploded because there are fewer people working the desks and more people trying to get answers. In many locations, they will tell you that you cannot be seen without an appointment, and those appointments can be backed up for months. They are effectively using the physical office as a barrier to keep you away. The goal of the agency is to move you to their website or their phone lines, but for the complex human-level problems that only a person can solve, the office is becoming a dead end. If you show up without the right mindset and the right expectations, you will be turned away. You need to understand that the people behind the desk are not your enemies, but they are working in a system that is literally designed to discourage your presence. You have to be prepared to fight for your time, or you will be sent home with nothing but a pamphlet and a waiting game. If you are forced to visit an office, you must know how to speak the language of the system. You cannot just walk in and say, "I have a problem." That will get you a ticket to wait behind 50 other people. You need to use magic keywords that force the system to prioritize your case. These are not tricks. They are legal classifications that signal to the staff that they have a mandatory duty to assist you immediately. If you are facing a crisis, you must use phrases that trigger an emergency override. If you are about to lose your home, use the words dire need and eviction notice. If you are going without necessary medicine because your check was cut, use imminent medication failure. When you say these things, you are telling the staff that they are legally obligated to flag your case for immediate intervention. You must have the physical proof in your hand. Do not just say you are in trouble. Show them the utility shutoff notice or the letter from your landlord. This is the only way to bypass the "go home and wait for a letter" routine. By providing documented proof of a dire situation, you force the gatekeeper to become an advocate. They can use these keywords to input your case as an emergency, which pushes it to the front of the queue. This is not about being rude. It is about being clear and using the legal language the bureaucracy understands. Without these triggers, you are just another number. With them, you become a priority that must be addressed before the office closes. To show you how dangerous this is, let's look at a specific legal trap: the difference between the 10-year marriage rule for divorcees and the 9-month rule for standard survival claims. This is a technical detail that an AI might easily misread, and it can cost you thousands of dollars. If you were married for at least 10 years and are now divorced, you can claim benefits on your ex-spouse's record. This is a legal right, but the system is complex. If you try to switch to a survivor benefit because your ex-spouse has passed away, you are suddenly dealing with a different set of rules, the 9-month rule. The AI often gets these two buckets confused. It might see your divorce records and assume you are disqualified because you didn't reach a certain threshold, completely ignoring the fact that you now qualify under the survivor rule. The machine sees divorce, marks the file as standard divorced applicant, and ignores the survivor data, because it is programmed to look for the simplest path to a decision. An expert human agent would see the death certificate, check the marriage duration, and realize you qualify for the higher payment. The AI just sees a conflict in your file and defaults to the lower or denied status to protect the agency from an overpayment. You have to be the one to bridge this gap. You must know your own legal standing better than the computer does, or you will simply be assigned the wrong benefit level. We have to face the big picture. We're looking at a system that is struggling under the weight of its own promises. You hear a lot about insolvency or trust fund depletion, but those are just big, scary words that feel far away. Let's make it real. Translate those dates into your life. We're talking about the number of monthly checks you have left before the system is legally forced to change. Every year, the date moves closer. This is the macro reality. The government knows the money is running out, and that is why they are automating everything. They want to cut costs, and they want to do it fast. If they can make it harder for you to claim your benefits, or if they can use automated clawbacks to recover money they think they overpaid you, they save billions. Every single check you get is a reminder that the system is under pressure. When you see your COLA increase, ask yourself, is this enough to cover the rising costs of medicine? The reality is that the gap between your benefit and your actual cost of living is growing. You are in a race. You need to secure your benefits and ensure your paperwork is ironclad now. Because the closer we get to those statutory deadlines, the more aggressive the automated review process will become. You cannot afford to wait until the system officially announces a crisis. You must protect your assets today. The problem isn't the employees working the phones. The problem is legislative resource starvation. Congress hasn't given the agency the funding it needs to keep up with the millions of new retirees. When you are frustrated with the system, you need to point that frustration toward the source. The most powerful tool you have is a congressional inquiry. Most people don't know this, but you can contact your local representative's office and ask them to open an inquiry into your Social Security case. This isn't just a suggestion. It is a formal request that the agency must answer. When a congressperson's office calls or writes to the Social Security Administration, your file stops being a number in an automated queue and becomes a priority. It forces a human to look at your case to report back to that representative. Do not be afraid to use this. You pay for these services with every paycheck you ever earned. If you are stuck in the lost file trap, or if the system is failing you, call your representative today. Tell them your story, use your voice, and share this information with your community. We are all in this together, and the only way to keep the system accountable is to make sure we are all using these protocols. Don't let them silence you, and don't let them ignore your hard-earned benefits. Take control now.